Hello, my name's Scott Perry. I'm a professional magician and this is a magic review.
It's a kind of magic.
In today's review, we're looking at Craig Petty's The Magic Button project. This is fantastic. It's so good, full of so much content, from sleights and different kinds of handlings to routines to ideas, magical moments, funny moments. It is truly a worker's dream product. There's only one reason why I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, and I'll come on to that later in the review, which is an important point and will limit how much you can perform this. But the TLDR on this is that I love it, and I think it's simple and classic and just brilliant. So well done, Craig, for everything that you've done in bringing this project to fruition. What is it? What is the magic button? Quite simply, it's a routine with a card that has a button on it, and it's a magic button. So you press the button and magical things happen. And then in the end, that button on the playing card that's been on the table ends up being the signed spectator's card. So it's a very interesting reveal, and there's lots of other things that are included in the pack of cards that you get, where buttons can break, and there's lots of routines, and there's Monty routines, and there's just so much. I guess it's not about what is this routine, it's what isn't it. It's a little bit of every card trick ever. But the premise is that you have playing cards with a button printed on, and lots of interesting things happen with the spectators pressing that button. That's generally what you're buying with the Magic Button project. What do you get? You get a whole host of things. You get, I think it's 31 or 32 of the gimmicks of the button to face cards. So you can perform this 31, or if it's 32, 32 times with a signed card, which isn't many. And I'm going to come on to that in the final thoughts of why I can't recommend this to everyone. You also receive other gaffed cards like smashed buttons where the spectator presses it too hard. There's a whole host of ideas and props that you get within the deck of cards. And then you also receive 3 hours of instructions. I've had this for a little while, and the reason why it's taken me so long to get to this review is because I'd heard that the instructions were very comprehensive, and they are, but not in a bad way. The instructions are really good, and I encourage you to watch them all the way through, even if you're a really experienced performer. But maybe I'll touch on that a little bit more. That's overall what you receive with the Magic Button. Custom printed deck of cards with some refills included, and 3 hours of instructions that are downloadable. How easy is it? Really easy. Some of the routines take a little bit more work than others. My personal favorite routines, if you do decide to buy this, is the streamlined version and also the streamlined Triumph version. They are the best in my opinion, but that's because of the scenarios that I perform in at events. I think the streamlined version will just hit everyone in that nice sweet spot, just a few minutes of their attention, and then move on to another group. But there are longer routines as well, which require a little bit more work. But I would say that this is appropriate for beginner to intermediate card magicians, and certainly not difficult to master with a little bit of practice, with what Craig includes in the instructions, with all of a comprehensive foundation of sleights and handlings. Overall, it can be a very easy and simple routine to perform. Reset time is very fast. Some of these routines reset instantly. Others require grabbing another card and adding it to your deck of cards. Some of the routines mean that you end completely clean with a completely normal deck of cards, and you can continue with any other routines that you want to perform. Some of the other routines are more like packet tricks, and again, reset instantly, but they don't include a deck of cards with them. So there's lots of varying reset times depending on what you want to perform and depending on the routines that you prefer from the tutorial. As I mentioned before, my favorite are the streamlined versions, and the streamlined Triumph routine resets instantly. I just want to interrupt the review for a second. please do subscribe to this channel. Please do support this channel. Share the reviews if you find them useful. The more this channel grows, the more reviews I'll be able to do. I'm doing this to try and help everyone to make good choices and not regret buying bad magic or poorly made magic. So please do support this channel as much as you can. I really do appreciate it. Back to the review. Which brings me on to the angles. The angles are fantastic. You can perform this completely surrounded. There's no angle restrictions at all. There's a couple of slights that you'll have to cover a little bit, but really nothing crazy. As I mentioned earlier in the review, I think anyone from a beginner and a basic card magician up to a pro can perform this. So there's nothing you really have to worry about with the angles, considering that most of what happens is just a playing card, one of the magic buttons on the table or on a spectator's hand or something like that. So there's no real angle restrictions to the magic button. And pocket space is fantastic too. You can just have a handful of cards with you, or if you're just performing for family and friends, you can just have a single card with you. It depends on the routine that you want to perform. So as I said earlier in the review, there's lots of options of different routines, different handlings, and different methods that you can perform with this. But the pocket space is a real worker's dream in that it takes up almost nothing, just some single cards in your pocket, which will be used as refills when you're performing for new groups of people, but just a few cards is the pocket space that this is going to take up. My final thoughts on this are that it's so good. However, the reason why I don't recommend it for everyone is that it's damn expensive. Not for the trick itself. The trick is really good value at £21, and that, for a completely custom printed deck of cards, is really good value. The issue here is that you only get 32 of the magic button cards with faces on the other side, which means that you can only perform the main routine, which is the strongest routine, where you get a spectator to sign a card. You can only perform it 32 times before you have to buy another pack of these cards. And these cards come with all other refills as well that you may not need, like broken buttons. So I would love it. I would really love it. Craig, if you're watching this review, or if someone can message Craig and have them print refill decks that are just faces with the magic button on the back, that would be amazing. And I think that would make it a perfect trick if you could just buy that refill deck. And that's why I can't completely recommend it to everyone, because when you factor in how much it costs per performance, it can get quite pricey. And as soon as these go out of stock, or as soon as they stop producing them, you can no longer perform the trick that you've paid for. The silver lining to this is that you could make your own magic buttons. So I do recommend that you buy the product, because there is so much expert teaching that's really filmed well. It's concise and just full of great information. I enjoyed watching the tutorial, even though it was 3 hours long, because it reminded me of a couple of things that perhaps I've forgotten from the past. So I think it's a really good resource to relearn things or even learn new things that you didn't know. But you can just take blank backed cards with faces, and you could just draw a magic button on yourself with marker pens. So that is possible, and once you know the handlings and once you know the techniques, you could perform it forever. It's just the fact that your hand drawings of these magic buttons may not look as nice as the printed ones. That's all. So there are options that are approachable for lots of people. I think that's all I wanted to touch on in my final thoughts, that if you're buying the actual magic button deck, it is quite costly per performance. For a working magician, that's probably not so bad because of the amount of money that people charge, and that's fine, but that's a very small minority in the magic community. If you're a hobbyist, I would still suggest you pick this up because it's a great project, but you're going to have to, I think, savor the cards that you use and choose the times that you perform it wisely, because you're probably not going to want to buy another deck that includes random cards that you're not going to use. I've rambled on long enough about this. It's a great project. Well done, Craig, for sharing this with the magic world. If you found this review helpful, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll reply as soon as I can. I'll see you in the next review.